Namaste, Jai Hind, and you're on The Right Perspective. I'm Anand Narasimhan. Over the course of the next 25 minutes here on The Right Perspective, we'll decode all that's transpired over the last 2 weeks after Justin Trudeau returned to Canada post the G20 summit in New Delhi. Was his reaction just vendetta or a well-thought-out move ahead of the elections, which are still 2 years away in Canada, but he's got sliding approval ratings? Is it an attention deflection ploy, or is there something else that's brewing? Is he now kowtowing or bowing to the wishes of Khalistani elements and also his alliance partners, or some other kind of pressure to try and defame India or take up the cudgels against Bharat? We tell you all that's transpired over the course of the last 2 weeks in this very special edition. It was on the 10th of September when Prime Minister Narendra Modi raised this entire Khalistan menace emanating out of Canada with Justin Trudeau on the sidelines of the G20 summit. It was a pull aside when this was raised, mincing no words. Prime Minister Modi making it very, very clear that Canada must act against anti-India elements, which Justin Trudeau said was freedom of speech, which was protected in Canada. Nearly a week later, on the 18th of September, Trudeau alleged India's involvement in a Khalistani terrorist and a known gangster and a wanted person against whom a red corner notice has been issued since 2016, Hardeep Singh Nijjar's death, and in the course also expelled a senior Indian diplomat. India taking responsive action, and that too very, very stern, gave 5 days for a very senior Canadian diplomat to leave Bharat. And that too on charges which they said was proof, not credible allegations, but proof of interfering in anti-India activities. The standoff further escalated, with India halting visas or process of visas to Canada, citing security reasons. The External Affairs Ministry launching an unsparing and unscathing attack on Canada and Justin Trudeau, asking the Canadian government to act on concrete intelligence that's been provided, and also saying that that there was an element of prejudice in the manner of behavior of the Canadian establishment. The entire Khalistani row erupted after PM Narendra Modi, on the sidelines of the G20 summit, asked Canada to act against raging anti-India activities on Canadian soil. Justin Trudeau's statement. Let's try and take a look at the statement. The statement said, "I believe in the freedom of speech. PM Modi's standards forces are promoting secessionism. They are acting against the interest of Bharat. Bharat's sovereignty is being challenged. We will push back against hatred. Violence is being incited against the community. Actions of a few, not of Canada's." PM Modi's stand is that the Indian community there is feeling threatened. The Indo-Canadian community is feeling threatened. Justin Trudeau's statement is, "We believe in the rule of law." PM Modi is saying, "Our ties are anchored in respect of law, but you need to do something about these elements." He says, Justin Trudeau says, "We spoke about foreign interference," is what he's saying. PM Modi's stand is that the nexus must be a concern for Canada also, because these elements are going to stoke trouble, law and order situations even in Canada. Let's listen into what Justin Trudeau had to say.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Last week at the G20, I brought them personally and directly to Prime Minister Modi in no uncertain terms. Any involvement of a foreign government in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty. It is contrary to the fundamental rules by which free, open, and democratic societies conduct themselves. In the strongest possible terms, I continue to urge the government of India to cooperate with Canada to get to the bottom of this matter. I also expect it to reiterate that its position on extrajudicial operations in another country is clearly and unequivocally in line with international law.
Now, after Trudeau dropped the bombshell, Canadian leader of opposition asked the Prime Minister to come clean with all the evidences because he said Trudeau's not shared anything beyond what he shared in the House of Commons.
I think the Prime Minister needs to come clean with all the facts. We need to know all of the evidence possible so that Canadians can make judgments on that. I think we need to see more facts. The Prime Minister hasn't provided any facts. He provided a statement, and I will just emphasize that he didn't tell me any more in private than he told Canadians in public, so we want to see more information.
I'm not going to get into private diplomatic conversations that have either already happened or are going to happen on this topic, only to say that we have been and will be in contact with the Indians at high levels on this issue. It is a matter of concern for us. It is something we take seriously. It is something we will keep working on. And we will do that regardless of the country. There's not some special exemption you get for actions like this. Regardless of the country, we will stand up and defend our basic principles. And we will also consult closely with allies like Canada as they pursue their law enforcement and diplomatic process.
That was Jake Sullivan, the American NSA, but the question also remains how much of Canada is going to be questioned on the actionable intelligence that India has shared. Now, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, after he was killed, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau alleged Indian government's involvement. But India was quick to counter Canada's frivolous claims. This is what India said. Agents of the Indian government killed Nijjar was the allegation. Allegation is absurd and motivated. Where is the proof? Credible allegations have to be backed with credible proof, hard evidence. Foreign government's involvement unacceptable, unsubstantiated charges to shift focus is the response. Violation of Canada's sovereignty. Khalistan extremists have been provided shelter by Canada, which is a direct threat to Bharat's sovereignty. That's India's position. India must say extrajudicial ops in line with international law. Inaction against K elements, a long-standing concern for Bharat. Urge the Indian government to cooperate, take action against anti-India elements is the message that's gone from India very, very clearly, saying don't try and point the fingers at us because you got 3, 4 pointing back at you for inaction. Now the showdown over Nijjar's death is only escalating. Here's how both nations have reacted so far. First, what happened? Canada expelled an Indian diplomat. So that's what happened. Canada expels an Indian diplomat. And India in turn expels Olivier Sylvester. Then, the reason given after Nijjar's murder, the reason given anti-India activities. Canada issues an advisory, exercise caution while in India, and a counter-advisory for Indian nationals, exercise caution while in Canada. Then, there is a further escalation that happens. Threat of terrorist attacks is what the advisory says. Here it says politically condoned hate crimes. State-backed hate crimes or politically condoned hate crimes is what it's saying. Canada alleges threat to Canadian diplomats. India says our envoys have been threatened and targeted. Now, Bharat saying, you want to escalate it? You want to try and provoke? You want to make statements and you want to drop the diplomatic niceties? Here goes. You've just unchained us. Now, after Canada's claim, External Affairs Ministry issued an advisory to Indian citizens. There's an increase in anti-India activities in Canada, politically condoned hate crimes in Canada. Those opposing anti-India agenda are being threatened. Travelers are being urged to exercise the utmost caution, must avoid traveling to sensitive regions. Students particularly advised to be vigilant. Indians must register with the High Commission. Officials will remain connected with all members of the Indo-Canadian community and Indians in Canada. India has suspended visas citing security reasons, but here are some FAQs just to put certain worries at rest. Let's just get a closer look. What happens to my current visa is one of the first questions that comes to mind. No bar on travel for valid Indian visa holders. Then the next question. Can I travel to Canada? Yes, there is no bar on Indian travelers traveling to Canada. Can my child return from Canada on an existing visa? Absolutely, no problem for valid visa holders at all. What happens to my current visa? No bar on travel for valid Indian visa holders. Can I travel to Canada? Yes, no bar. Will OIC card holders face issues? No. Can Canadians living in other countries visit India? There is no bar on valid visa holders. Can students, workers return from Canada? Yes, they can. No problem at all. So all of these concerns, well, they return. It's only that there is an advisory. Don't travel unless you absolutely have to. Don't travel to sensitive areas, and there will be no fresh visas that will be issued. Now, we as a nation have made it very, very clear that it is the responsibility of the Canadian government to protect members of the Indian community, members of the Indian consulate, all those working in the High Commission as per diplomatic norms. The NDA government also has red flagged the Trudeau government's inaction against extremists. Intel sources revealed to News 18 that India drawing the red line, asking Canada to act against secessionist activities. The first charge, Trudeau government aware of anti-India activities. The second charge, silent on propaganda of secessionist propaganda by K groups in Canada. Charge 3, protecting K members for political benefits. Charge 4, inaction under the garb of freedom of speech. Charge number 5, diplomatic channels have failed to act on this entire K issue. Indian diplomats are facing threats from K goons. Charge number 7, violence call against India in K rallies, but no action has been taken. And also charge number 8, Khalistani separatists are issuing issue is complex and sensitive, and it needs to be addressed with utmost seriousness. Canada must deal and act without damaging ties with India and the entire Sikh community. Charge number 10, Canada must recognize responsibility and ensure citizen safety. All of these points we have raised, and after this all-out attack, Justin Trudeau reasserted allegations against India, but he conveniently skipped questions on evidence, allies being silent, and India suspending visas. Canada takes the allegations seriously, he said. Government of India is linked agents are involved in Nijjar's death. No proof, just allegations. Want Government of India to work with Canada. Our processes are rigorous and independent. Shared concerns with PM in no uncertain terms. Now, Sanjay Kumar Verma, the Indian High Commissioner to Canada, spoke to us here on CNN News 18 on the right stand on the 12th of September, soon after the stern message that was sent by India around the G20 summit by none other than the Prime Minister. And the Indian High Commissioner said few boisterous elements are harming India-Canada ties by spreading lies and holding pro-Khalistani protests. He also said he's received several threats from K elements and agreed that it was his own engagement that was thwarted by these K goons. Listen in. You are confident that there will be further action will be taken, because again, just around the time Prime Minister Trudeau touches down, there are calls for a referendum. There are others who are issuing threats against you also, sir, saying you are a representative of PM Modi and the Ottawa consulate should shut down, the High Commissioner should go back, etc. How would you react to all this?
These are noises and these are not happening for the first time in the history of our bilateral relations. So I'll take it with a pinch of salt. I continue with my own interactions with the government, with officials, with the provinces, with my community. And I hope to continue it the same way.
There was a question about secessionist elements, Khalistani elements operating and getting a free run on Canadian soil. This was put to Prime Minister Trudeau. And he said you cannot broad brush it. Actions of a few cannot be broad brushed over a community and all of Canada. But what's being done? The irritant aspect is, and I think Prime Minister Modi has also raised this, that you're not doing anything about it.
See, what Prime Minister Trudeau said has a lot of truth in that. It's a very small handful boisterous elements who would like to harm Canada in the relation at any cost. And they are the ones who are going ahead with spreading lies. They are the ones who are going ahead with so-called protests, so-called referendum. When you count their numbers in the overall population of Canada, they are hardly a drop in the ocean. And therefore, they are very, very small in number. And they have been able to do things that they are doing. But recently, when they had crossed the red lines of the Canadian law, actions had been initiated.
Do these elements, like you call them, boisterous and very small drop in the ocean, are they getting more traction, or are they just creating a lot of hype on social media? How would you read this, Sanjay ji?
I would say that, earlier the social media was not so much in the eye. So therefore, we were missing that element. These days, it's the world of social media, and therefore we are noticing them more. But they are frustrated. They are coming out with the kind of statements they are coming out, which are falling on the wrong side of the Canadian law, only due to the reason that they are not seeing anything going forward. So I would see it in a very different light. Today, everyone is on Twitter or now X, on Facebook platforms, on Instagram, and they are misusing these platforms for their own business. And I'm calling this activity business with responsibility, because that is from where these bunch of goons are able to make the money.
A business where a bunch of goons are hoping to make their money, a drop in the ocean, handful who are vitiating the atmosphere. The larger question is, who is backing these handfuls, and why is it that they are exacting so much of political capital, so much so that Justin Trudeau should kowtow to them? Government sources are also revealing to News 18 that extradition requests, multiple extradition requests have been sent by the NIA, which are still pending with the Canadian authorities. The requests involve individuals accused of terrorism, murder and other related offences, but no cooperation has been extended by the Canadians. Here's a list of people who are on the NIA's trail. First up there, Hardeep Singh Sandhu, alias Landa. He's a Babar Khalsa International member from Taran in Punjab. He carries a reward of 15 lakh rupees. Hardeep Singh Gill, or Ash Dalla, Landa's aide and is based in Canada, linked to Khalistan Tiger Force, designated individual terrorist by the MHA. Lucky Khokar, Dalla's aide and resident of Bhatinda, provided arms to Dalla's men in Punjab, weapons used to kill one Paramjeet Singh in Punjab. Satwinderjeet Singh, alias Goldie Barar, allegedly works for Landa, accused in the Dera Sacha Sauda followers murder. His connections with Lawrence Bishnoi is all across the media. Gurpatwant Singh Pannon, SFJ's United States-based chief, booked by the NIA in December 2020, oftentimes operates out of Canada, but he is an American citizen. Vadhava Singh, BKI chief or Babar Khalsa International chief, currently in Pakistan, has links with radicals in the UK, US, Canada and the EU nations, provides funds, also backs anti-India propaganda and terrorist activities in Bharat. Ranjit Singh, alias Manpreet, chief of Khalistan Zindabad force, involved in smuggling of arms in Pakistan. Lakhbir Singh Road, reportedly based in Pakistan, linked to terror attacks in Bharat, involved in smuggling of drugs and has connections in Canada. Top government source also reveals how National Security Advisor Ajit Doval at several instances, including around the G20 summit, asked Canada to cooperate with Bharat. NSA Doval and his counterpart always discussed issues of both nations, especially terrorism. Many times NSA Doval gave a list of wanted and list of LRs, letter rogatories, from various agencies and state police. NSA Doval very clearly and categorically told his counterpart about the troublemakers and terrorists sitting in Canada, and also shared intelligence and intercepts time to time, including locations of these people. On the other hand, his Canadian counterpart raised issues of Indian involvement, and the National Security Advisor said, give us the evidence and the FIRs of the charges that are made. We will do what is required and we'll get back to you. Sources say Ajit Doval assured that if the perpetrators are from Bharat and it's a matter of deep concern, action will be taken. But the Canadian NSA never came back with any evidence, claims or blames. Nothing, just verbal claims and blames, nothing concrete. Bharat has said very clearly that it is ready to investigate Canada's charges if credible inputs are given. Top government sources are decoding the reason why Justin Trudeau reacted after 2 months after Nijjar was killed. Bilaterals with PM Modi was not on expected lines. Prime Minister Modi was ready with a terror dossier and told Trudeau in clear terms about how terror activities against Bharat are on a rise in Canada. PM also sought cooperation with investigations in various ongoing cases carried out by the NIA. During his extended stay in India, terror groups started threatening Indian citizens and diplomats, and this resulted in diplomatic failure and also huge embarrassment for Justin Trudeau, who said that this is nothing but small incidents and freedom of speech must be respected, etc. But his technical snag put him in Delhi for 48 hours when there were anti-India activities and secessionist voices raising up their flags back in Canada. Intel sources reveal there's a massive law and order problem in Canada. Hiring in the police department has stopped due to shortage of money. A lot of money is being rerouted to fund or to help Ukraine in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Canada does not have enough to take care of its own. Surrey, which sees anti-India protests, needs at least 1,500 policemen, but they have only about 500 to 600. Despite evidence of Gurpatwant Panun carrying out anti-India activities from Canadian soil, no action has been taken against him. Corporate bankruptcies and defaults are surging. Home rentals are up by 4 times due to the Ukraine war. The rent inflation is at its all-time high in Canada. Due to low wages of just $16 per hour, there's an increase in criminal activities like drug trade and robbery. Intel sources also reveal that there is an alleged spark link to this entire Justin Trudeau saga. Trudeau allegedly is receiving funds via dubious source, funds reportedly received through fraudulent means. Trudeau is accused of favoring a particular nation and its people or diaspora in Canada. People with suspicious backgrounds are being favored and also given seats within the Canadian polity. As India-Canada row is also escalating, Justin Trudeau's popularity is dipping, and it seems like the row with India could be one of the possible reasons. Trudeau has now been pushed to the wall. As per Angus Reid Institute, Trudeau's approval ratings are as low as around 30%, just 33%, and the disapproval ratings are at 63%. As per this survey, his disapproval rating has been above 50%, going up in the last 2 years. The survey conducted by the research company found that 30% find Trudeau as the worst among recent prime ministers. Global News, the Canadian media organization, put out results of its poll saying 60% of the Canadians think it's time for Trudeau to step aside. Somebody else from the Liberals should lead the country. The survey also reveals that 4 in 10 Canadians say that Pierre is the best choice for Prime Minister. He's the leader opposition. It's being alleged that the Trudeau government is surviving with the support of Khalistani backer, leader of the NDP, Jagmeet Singh Dhaliwal. Intel sources reveal that News 18 that Khalistan leaders in his government like Sukhjit Singh Nijjar, Sukh Dharyal and Navdeep Bains are perhaps blackmailing him. Trudeau is being pushed to the corner over alleged corruption charges. Trudeau is facing backlash domestically with issues like job losses, high inflation and increasing cost of living. Reports also suggest that due to his personal issues, Trudeau's official work is being affected as he's unable to devote much time. Embarrassed with the little relevance in India during the G20 summit, Trudeau faced massive backlash at home. Now, Canada's shield to Khalistani sympathizers is not new. In the past, there have been several instances where the Canadian government, through its own action or inaction, has actually showed a soft corner for Khalistani elements. Let's just dial back into history a bit, ladies and gentlemen. In 1974, Bharat's nuclear test strained Canada-India equations due to the alleged military use of Canadian-provided CANDU reactors. Now, this coincided with the rise of the Khalistan movement in Punjab. Many Sikhs with ties to Canada sought refuge there, and the strained relationship allowed Khalistanis to find sanctuary in Canada, receiving political asylum without much scrutiny. The man who plotted the horrific bombing in 1985 of an Air India plane off Ireland, which killed 331 passengers, Talwinder Singh Parmar, was sheltered by Canada. Under Justin's father, Pierre Trudeau, the Canadian government refused to extradite him to India on the specious plea that India, though a member of the Commonwealth, did not recognize the sovereignty of the Queen, who was Canada's sovereign. In 1985, the High Commission of India presented a diplomatic note to the Department of External Affairs regarding the threat to Indian diplomatic missions or Air India aircraft by extremist elements. Subsequently, in early June, Air India forwarded the request for full and strict security coverage and any other appropriate security measures to Transport Canada offices in Ottawa, Montreal and Toronto, and to the RCMP offices in Montreal and Toronto. In 2002, Toronto-based Punjabi Language Weekly Sanj Savera greeted Indira's death anniversary with a cover illustration of her murder and a headline urging readers to honor the martyrs who killed the sinner. The magazine received government advertisements and is now a prominent daily in Canada. In 2010 and 2012, former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh had warned his Canadian counterpart Stephen Harper over the rising support among Canadian Sikhs for Khalistani elements active in Punjab. Though Harper said that Canada supports a united India, but back home this was poorly received in Canada by some in the Indo-Canadian community and was even the Canadian Federal Opposition Party. This is what happened, ladies and gentlemen. There is a history why Canada does not act against secessionist elements who are inimical to Bharat. But Bharat is turning around and telling Justin Trudeau, it's enough is enough. This has got to stop. Otherwise, we are going to drop all niceties. How does this pan out in the coming days? We'll have to wait and watch. For the moment, hope this effort has enabled you to get the right perspective. Namaste.